Hello everypony, I am TorridPrime217, your online hotspot where you find out what's hot and what's not. Okay, this is my third audio video and counting. I wonder at which point I'm going to stop counting. Anyway, so this is the second official episode of TorridViews, the show where I give my thoughts on popular opinion. Okay, and, well, if you read the title of the video correctly, then I will indeed be talking about the Season 4 finale soon to come in maybe a week or two? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? I don't know. I really need to check my calendar or stuff, because my mind is really slipping. Okay, and I will also be briefly touching upon the subjects displayed in the Rainbow Rocks movie. A new clip just came out recently. Link in the description for my latest reaction. Oh yeah, I know what you're thinking. Yay. More of me just complaining. Whatever. Alright, so anyway, on to the views and, I suppose, a few theories. So, let's start with the summary from the Hub Network. Alright, according to what the Hub has released so far, Princess Twilight Sparkle continues to struggle with her identity as a princess and enrolls the newest member of equestrian royalty. When Princess Celestia has a premonition about a mysterious evil foe from the past and turns to an unlikely source for help, Twilight Sparkle feels the extra pressure to prove her worth. In hopes that it will provide some insight as to the kind of princess she is meant to be, Twilight Sparkle focuses her attention on opening the chest that was given to her by the Tree of Harmony. Secrets are revealed and mysteries are unraveled as all of Equestria joins forces to stop this new threat. And with some extra tidbits provided by Zaptuit.com, Princess Celestia chooses Discord over Princess Twilight to help her track down a villain, and the other princesses transfer all of their magical power to Twilight in hopes of saving Equestria. Both of those are descriptions for episodes Part 1 and 2, respectively. Okay, so that's essentially 6 things happening which are considerably major and worth talking about. Okay, Twilight deals with her struggles as a princess. A new villain is going to appear and is probably going to be tied to the past in some way. Discord is chosen over Twilight by Celestia to do a truly important task, which sort of shows Discord's development as a character, I suppose. And Twilight tries opening the box at long last, and the box contents shall be made known, at least as far as I know. And this is such a lost cliche line, but secrets revealed, mysteries unraveled, and everyone joins forces to stop this new threat. I mean, come on. I mean, in what lost trailer haven't you heard that? But anyway. And finally, the three princesses, besides Twilight, give all their power to Twilight in order to help her save all of Equestria. Okay, let's start with Twilight. The whole issue of her finally coming to terms with the fact that she is a princess, she has all these responsibilities and whatnot, blah, 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 blah. This isn't necessarily nothing new. It's something we've been wanting to see all season. I mean, it's a little late to be presenting that sort of thing now. At such a strong level that it would influence the whole plot of the episode. But still, I mean, we're getting it, so I guess we got no real reason to complain. And it adds a little more weight to the season finale and will help Season 4 to go out with a bang. Okay, now on to the subject of the new villain. Or, is it actually new? The release from the Hub does say a mysterious evil foe from the past, but, well, we may just assume it's another member of Celestia's Rogues Gallery that she supposedly vanquished a long time ago, like Discord and Sombra. Just yet unnamed. It might actually be a villain from within the series that we've actually seen, so this could be Queen Chrysalis returning from her imprisonment in the comics, wanting to exact revenge for, getting cheated out of her ultimate goal. Or it could be Sombra returning from the land of the dead, having apparently not died at all in the Season 3 opener, and with a similar angle. Or who knows, maybe it could be the both of them uniting together. Or perhaps it could be both of them united together and one of them posing as this mysterious new threat. that gets Celestia all worried, and Celestia really doesn't know who the villain is. And we don't really learn that it's both of them until part 2, or the end of part 1 leading into part 2, where the hype gets all up and all that, and Super Saiyan Twilight Sparkle, and, well, apparently, whatever it is powerful enough to stop Discord if Twilight has to get all of the princess's powers. And quite honestly, just to see King Sombra and Chrysalis return in the same episode, that would be truly awesome, because I remember when I first saw Queen Chrysalis, I kept thinking, holy cow, that is evil! She is so freaking evil! I mean, it really surprised me, and it was one of the things that drew me into the show. And King Sombra, well, he was underdeveloped and not necessarily as evil as Chrysalis. He was still cool. I mean, he's essentially the equestrian equivalent of Sauron from Lord of the Rings, so that's pretty hard to beat. Okay, but then there's also the possibility that this could just be, the whole thing could just be a ploy set up by Discord. This is something that Dr. Wolf suggested in one of his videos. Link in the description. Perhaps it's just another thing like in Three's a Crowd, where Discord is just trying to get these newfound friends to prove just how far they're willing to go for him. Although it's kind of unlikely, because why would the writers bother to do that sort of thing again? I really don't know. Who knows, really? The possibility is still out there, but even Dr. Wolf himself said it probably wasn't very likely. Though, if it is likely, then probably what happens is, oh shoot, I had it. Ah, yes. Discord creates a threat, Celestia sends him after it, it gets out of hand. Gets out of hand to the point where even he is powerless against it, and only Twilight and possibly her friends have the way to defeat this newfound threat that he himself created. Okay, and if there are any of you who are wanting Nightmare Moon to return, I don't think it's going to happen at least within the next 5 episodes of the series as a whole. Because the description says Luna gives all of her power to Twilight Sparkle. But if Luna is Nightmare Moon, then why would she do that? It just doesn't really make sense on a psychological level, so yeah, sorry to disappoint you people, but it looks like Nightmare Moon will have to wait. Again. And again. And again. It's kind of disappointing considering she's such a popular villain, and yet she's only been a villain for 2 episodes, and technically 3 if you count the flashback. So that sets up potential for the main villains, although we also have the slightly minor villains, Trixie and Aoizotl. Now, well, some of you may be able to see Trixie. I bet some of you are wondering exactly why Aoizotl would be a villain, worthy enough for putting all of Equestria in mortal danger, as seeing how he's just more of an average run-of-the-mill villain. Well, he actually has done world-threatening things before, it's just Daring Do's always been able to stop him in time. And, if you're wondering where Daring Do is going to be throughout this, the bit said all of Equestria joins forces to stop this new threat, so Daring's going to be probably going to be a part of it, if Aoi is involved. And, you know, heck with it, I think Daring's going to be involved even if Aoi isn't a part of it anyway, so whatever. And, well, that theory is kind of weak, I admit, but then there's the theory about Trixie. Now, Trixie actually does carry some kind of weight, but if you recall the episode, and at the end of the episode, Magic Duel, Trixie seemed to change sides, and if you remember from her appearance in Equestria Girls, she wasn't all that threatening, at all. In fact, it's my belief that the entire purpose of her cameo scene was to undermine her as a potential villain at all. But lately, she's appeared to be more antagonistic in the Rainbow Rocks clip. I have no idea why they decided to do that now, unless of course it's because they've already decided to make Trixie villainous. So perhaps Trixie decides to become a villain here. But then again, the description says a villain from the past. why would Celestia send Discord to stop Trixie, not Twilight? I mean, after all, Twilight has defeated Trixie twice. I mean, sure, send Discord to stop a villain who knows Twilight because nobody can really predict how Discord is going to finish it. But then you have to consider, what if it actually goes deeper than this? What if Celestia also knows Trixie very well? I mean, after all, we've never seen Trixie or Luna in the same scene together. Have you noticed that? We've never seen the two together. So, what if we're actually repeating the Sunset Shimmer deal? What if Trixie was for a brief period also an apprentice of Celestia's? Although I admit that still doesn't exactly explain why Celestia would bother to send Discord after Trixie and not Twilight, given Twilight's track record of whooping Trixie on the dueling field. Well, what if Trixie wanted to become so powerful she became a host to the Nightmare Moon persona? That would make her incredibly powerful. And is it not without a reach of her character? Now, if you're wondering why would she suddenly just turn evil again after wanting to turn good, well, apparently nobody trusts her despite the fact that she wants to become good again, and desperate situations perhaps force her to become, sort of mentally force her to become evil again. Or at the very least, sort of like a Nightmare Moon situation, where she's so emotionally down on her luck that when the opportunity for Nightmare Moon comes around, she accepts it without hesitation because it's a way out of her depression. So essentially, that'd be like using Trixie to redo the whole Nightmare Moon arc, and it would also be like a great callback to two fan favorite villains of the series. So potentially, yeah, we might actually be looking at Nightmare Trixie. That's kind of cool. And, yeah, the great and powerful Trixie, now the great and powerful Nightmare Trixie of Terror, or something like that. Yeah, I can see this elevating into a whole, the entirety of Equestria is in danger sort of deal. Not really sure how she'd be able to defeat Discord, but okay. We'll just have to wait and see. This would also explain why humanized Trixie is displaying an antagonistic nature, despite the fact that she didn't in the last movie. So perhaps some of Trixie's evil from the Ponyverse is rubbing off into the Humanverse. And for once, the movie will actually be more heavily connected with significant events in the series, and not just ones that can be glossed over or softened up. I mean, I kind of hope so, because Rainbow Rocks, if you've seen my video reactions, it's looking pretty stupid. I hope they're just trying to mess with me, because otherwise I'm convinced that the My Little Pony franchise cannot do a good movie. Or at least cannot do a good movie in executive terms. Still. Also, that would mean that Kathleen Barr voices the major threat villain at the season finale and in the Rainbow Rocks movie. And that'd be pretty cool because Kathleen Barr has done some of my favorite voice acting roles in the past, like Galorum and Rudaka, from the Accelracers and Bionicle series, respectively. And honestly, there's a reason those two villains are in my top 10 Ultimate Villains list. And yeah, I'll be releasing that list eventually. But in the meantime, the idea of a unicorn willing to exceed her power via such dark force as the Nightmare Moon persona is also not beyond another notorious villain from within the franchise. Who am I talking about? Sunset Shimmer. Yes, I'm actually suggesting the possibility that Hasbro is giving Sunset Shimmer a second chance at being more of, I don't know, an actual villain. Yeah. Crazy, right? But it's totally up her alley. I mean, if you've read the the My Little Pony Annual 2013, then the Fall of Sunset Shimmer story, then you've seen her going through the Dark Library. And a personal query of mine is why she never bothered to use any of those dark spells once she learned them. I don't know. But this would totally fit into that character archetype, or sort of, and would finally make Shimmer a more threatening villain, and would actually elevate her status to that of, oh, I don't know, a villain? And it would definitely raise the stakes as, well, I don't know. I don't really know. It just sounds right that Shimmer would do something like this. I don't know. Okay, so they're all the major antagonists from the show, or at least major threats. But then we also have to consider the possibility that they might actually turn to G1 for some examples. You know, the show back in the 80s. Now, maybe that would explain why they said from the past, and maybe they're meaning it like in a literal sense, that it actually does stretch that far in the past, like 20 years ago. So, who are these villains? Well, first we have Tyrek, an evil centaur who wants to create endless night with a rainbow of darkness or whatever. We also have his turncoat minion, Scorpion, a Batwing dude who's sort of like Starscream, in a sense, only he's more morally sound. We also have Grogar, an evil ram lord who controls people via the bells on his collar. Katrina, a bipedal cat with a catnip problem who enslaves ponies to help her make the stuff, and the stuff makes her stronger, I guess. And perhaps most infamously, or at least the easiest to find, a living purple ooze that I cannot remember the name of, so I'm just going to call it the Schmooze for now. So yeah, maybe when they say from the past, they really do mean to reach that far back. And that would be kind of nice, considering how they made Firefly a canon character in testing 1 2 3. So yeah, that could work. This theory does hold water, but I honestly have no idea. It's also possible that they'll just pull a villain right out of their hat, or just make one up entirely and just use him or her for exposition and stuff. But you know what? They've managed to do so well with that so far, I'm just going to let it slide if they do go that route. Okay, so on to the subject of Discord, the Bounty Hunter. Well, I've already gone into how it could actually be Discord's doing that the whole thread is even there to begin with. Although there is one thing I didn't touch upon, and that's the possibility of other Draconicuses. Did I say that right? I have no idea. Yeah. So what if there are other evil Draconici? I'm just gonna call them that in plural form from now on. Out there who haven't been converted by the magics of friendship, so-called. What if they want to rule Equestria? What if they sent Discord out there and are now coming back to see how well he's doing? How they wouldn't know any of this, I don't know, or... Well, I don't know. Okay. What I'm trying to say is... Maybe there are other Draconici. And they come along, and... Well, they're the ultimate threat that Discord can't stop. And that would totally explain why Twilight suddenly has to become the hero over Discord. Yeah, I'm just mumbling now. Okay, let's move on to something more interesting, like the context of the Rainbow Box. Alright, what's in the box? That's the question on everyone's minds. Phantom Horn of T-Bap drew up the likely conclusion that has since gone viral. Since the keys in the eyes of the main six are illuminated by rainbow lighting, then the content of the box must essentially be a new kind of energy weapon that work like the elements of harmony, but are more personally connected with the main six, something fans have dubbed Rainbow Power based on the title given to the new toy line. This rainbow power allows the ponies, amongst other things, to become more colorful and allows their cutie marks to become a more prominent design aspect throughout their bodies. And apparently somewhat restyles their manes a little, I guess. I don't know. It gives Pinkie Pie and Applejack bows in their hair, in their manes. I don't know. I have no idea how this rainbow power is supposed to work, except maybe, just the same old Deus Ex Machina, taste the rainbow, door knocker, stuff like that. I don't know. Door knocker. Why did I say that? Anyway. I have no idea, but we can always guess it's going to be something awesome, because that's just sort of the thing that the show tends to do. Give us awesome stuff. Okay, the box has 6 different keyholes in it, each one opened by a different key, and each of the main 6 Sans Twilight have found these keys. And ironically, none of them look like keys or can possibly even function as keys. But whatever, it's more of a symbolic thing, because that's how they got them, through a sort of symbolism, I guess? I don't know. Okay, one thing I have to wonder is, how will Twilight find her key of friendship, so-called? Or rainbow key, whatever you want to call it. Or has she already found it, perhaps, and she just hasn't realized it? Or perhaps she has realized it, and she hasn't realized that the others have all found their rainbow keys, or friendship keys. Well, either way, this could lead up to another major lesson of friendship to wiggle into the finale. Tons of writing potential. Okay, now on to Showdown Equestria. Blah blah blah, secrets revealed, blah blah blah, Equestria joins the battle, new threat, blah blah blah. So, what secrets are we talking about here? There are dozens of things we don't know about the respective universe, so which ones will they decide to answer? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It's like Lost. They can explain a ton of stuff, or they can explain absolutely nothing. But given how this isn't the series finale, it's only the season finale, and Season 5 is planned for next fall, I think it's safe to say we're going to get something answered. That, or we're going to have a lot of questions raised, the episode begins, and then answered by the episode's end, whereas all the other questions we asked previously won't get answered. I don't know, it just seems to fit the bill. And as for all of Equestria joins forces, how many, who are they? Well, I've already said Daring Do is probably going to be a major part of it, but will we see other characters? Like all the non-pony characters. Maybe we'll see all the ponies' families, like Pinkie's family and Twilight's and all the apples. Maybe. Will we see Cheese Sandwich? Will we get a guest appearance by Weird Al, or will he just be there not talking? Or will it be like a recycled soundbite or something? Will Flash Sentry be there, and will he actually be more of a character than just just there? I don't know. In all honesty, I want to see Derpy. Derpy has been almost completely absent from the season entirely, except for, Rainbow Falls and a few background appearances elsewhere. If I do not see Derpy, I might throw a fit. And I will certainly be writing about that in my Derpy blog. Link in the description below. Okay, now on to the thing about Super Saiyan Twilight Sparkle. Ooh. Alright, so Twilight gets a major power upgrade when Celestia, Luna, and Cadence give her all their power so that she can save all of Equestria. We don't know whether or not she will use this power to open the Rainbow Box, or if she will use it after she's opened the Rainbow Box. And if her friends will be involved in all of this, I assume they would be, because that would sort of just shove aside the lessons of friendship we've had to endure throughout the entire season, no matter how awesome or painful the key episodes have been. But I have to ask, what could this possibly mean for the rest of this show? Do the princesses who give up their power lose their princesshood? Do they become normal ponies and live amongst live amongst the social class? Does this mean that Twilight is the only princess from then on? You know what? Probably not. I don't think they would take such a big leap. I mean, making Twilight a part of the ruling class was a big leap already, and clearly, given how much they've showed that, given how much they've actually acknowledged this fact, which has been very little in all honesty, I think it's safe to assume that they're not going to take any big leaps. They're not going to jump the shark, especially not when the show is planned for at least another 5 years. I think it's all going to return back to normal when all is said and done, and things will progress normally. Although, not entirely. I do think we'll be getting a new castle by the end of the season. How do I know this? Well, 3 things. First of all, there was a toy released at Toy Fair recently called I think it was called the Rainbow Castle or something, I forget. And then also on the DVD cover to be released soon after the final episodes of the season air, Keys of Friendship, which contains pretty much all the key episodes, except I think for Rainbow Dashes. On the cover of Keys of Friendship, there is a very peculiar looking castle that we've never seen before. And third of all, perhaps the most glaringly obvious, the 2-parter is called Twilight's Kingdom. So yeah, obviously it's about Twilight getting a kingdom. I mean, why wouldn't it be? So, yeah. Okay. So I think it's safe to assume this very obvious conclusion. Twilight is gonna get a castle. She's a princess, and now she has her own castle. So maybe that's why Celestia had Twilight rebuilding her old castle throughout the whole season. And perhaps this reason they've sort of been putting off to the side is so that they can use Mega Magic to remodel it or something. Although I've been looking a little bit closer at both the playset and the DVD cover, and I've kind of noticed something that seemed to suggest that the ruined castle will remain the same. Alright, first of all, on the DVD cover, you'll notice how the castle seems to be built on a tree. It looks more like a tree house than an actual castle, or a tree castle, I suppose. And in the playset, you'll notice right here, that room looks suspiciously like the interior of the Canterlot Library. I mean, the Ponyville Library. So, yeah. It's also possible that the Ponyville Library could actually become a new castle in Equestria. Though, then again, this could still just be the Sisters' Castle, old castle, remodeled, just kind of set to look like the Treehouse Library. Because, well, I know this is weak evidence to go on, but you'll notice how that the Rainbow Castle in the DVD cover kind of looks like it's made of crystal. There's not really much to go on, but it's something. And for me personally, this raises another question. If we're going to get a new castle for Twilight by the end of the season, are we also going to get a new Society of Ponies? Now, you might be wondering, what the heck are you talking about? A new Society of Ponies? What? Well, think about it this way. By the end of Season 1, the city of Canterlot was established to us, and as were the High Society Ponies, and we saw them more prominently throughout the rest of the series. And basically the same thing with the Crystal Empire. Once we were introduced to the Crystal Empire and the Crystal Ponies, we saw a lot more of them throughout the series so far. Not to mention, I noticed a distinct parallel between the episode's 2-parter being set up here and with the Season 2 finale and Season 3 starter. Alright, so Twilight is an established princess by the season finale. Cadance was an established princess by the Season 2 finale. And a new villain arose from the past. King Sombra was a villain from the past. A new empire was introduced. As I've already pretty much made it very obvious, there is going to be a Rainbow Kingdom. for Twilight. And once that whole ordeal was over, the Crystal Empire became Cadence's home, and Shining Armors, if you want to get technical, or if you want to get specific. And I think it's safe to assume that once Twilight vanquishes this new villain, she is going to be living in the Rainbow Palace. And what would a palace be without a new kind of pony? So, rainbow ponies! Fan art away, people! Yeah! We're going to be getting a new breed of ponies! Okay, well, probably it's a 50-50 chance that we will, 50-50 chance that we won't, but the possibility is still out there. So, yeah, so this is what we have so far. Twilight becoming a more prominently established member of the ruling class, getting her own kingdom, a new class of pony being introduced, a new villain with links to the past, a potential Trixie Nightmare Moon literal crossover, all of Ponyville uniting, a Super Saiyan Twilight, Rainbow Power, who knows? This is looking exciting. It sounds like an awesome spectacle. Yeah. Okay, now I have to get into something I really don't want to get into, and that is Rainbow Rocks. I figure I might as well cover this, given how I've already sort of delved deep into it as is, or at least in the department of villains. So, what is the plot of Rainbow Rocks, apart from the Humane Six want to start a rock band? Well, given of what I've seen in the clips, evidently it's Rainbow Dash and the other of the five, though Twilight's somehow nowhere to be seen for some reason. So, could this possibly mean that we'll actually be transitioning between Equestria and the Humanverse? It's possible, given how it's very possible that the writers want to surprise us. I'm not really sure, but it's also likely that they probably won't do that. I don't know, it's another 50-50 deal. Sunset Shimmer hasn't appeared in any of the released media, though it apparently has been revealed, at least according to an article in Equestria Daily, that Shimmer will be appearing in the Rainbow Rocks movie. I have no idea what her role will be, or how prominent it will be, or whatever. I don't know. Originally, I was thinking whether or not we actually be seeing the Humanverse Twilight or the humanized Pony Twilight in this movie. Although I'm starting to lean towards its Pony Twilight. Who knows? Or it could be the Humanverse Twilight coming late. I don't know. You theorize it, because this is starting to give me a headache. But just to pour more gas on the fire, I suppose, an idea suggested by Dr. Wolf was that the Humane Five will have to go through accepting that Humanverse Twilight is not the way they think she should be, as Pony Twilight is rather different in many ways from Humanverse Twilight. Although given how such themes weren't really delved deep into in the last film, like, at all, it's likely to assume that they're not going to do that here, which is kind of a shame, because it would be kind of interesting to see that sort of plot twist thingy. And also, are we going to get an explanation for these bizarre pony transformations? We at least got a pulled right out of their butt attempt at an explanation for why it happened in the last film, but here it appears to be tied solely to music. Will be given an explanation, or is it just in their heads? Are they just imagining it all? I don't know. In a balanced perspective of Equestria Girls with Voice of Reason, Toon Critic, and Past Analysis suggested that the Humanverse elements of harmony were actually connected to one spirit. And that's how they were able to activate it without the actual elements of harmony. Now, while this is a very poor solution, but I'll get into that eventually. I'm not exactly sure how this in itself connects to rock music, or how it connects to the season finale, although I can't really go that far because, again, I have to see the season finale before I can make that assessment. Although we can likely assume that it has something to do with the MacGuffin of the last movie, The Mirror of Namu, as I've chosen to call it. Maybe the ponies activating their rainbow powers in Equestria somehow causes the Humane Five to activate their rainbow pony powers somehow and make them decide to join a rock group or something. I don't know. In the movie, from what we've seen, it just looks like they're trying to start a rock band for the fun of it. Whereas with the season 4 finale, it's a really big deal. It's being set up as the most intense season finale of the show thus far. Yeah, it's very likely to assume that the movie won't be connected at all, though they do seem to be teasing us in the direction of otherwise. And so, also, Vinyl Scratch seems to be getting a lot more screen time, and disappointingly, more than Derpy. Me want Derpy. I digress. Anyway, so I have to wonder exactly what kind of role will she play. Will she be the sort of Obi-Wan Kenobi character, although she never speaks, she just gives... or sort of the helpful Yoda character? She's just off in the background, at least until she's called for, or something? She aids the friends but never speaks to them. She just sort of speaks through her music without ever actually making any music. I don't know how it could go, but she's really being hyped up. I, quite frankly, think the hype should die down, but that's more an opinion. Personally, if I had to see Vinyl Scratch as a more prominent character at all, I'd want her to be more like the character Shirako Takamoto from the Hot Wheels Accelracers series. Now, Shirako was basically like the only guy apart from some of the background villains who got like zero character arc. Had very little noticeable character and like didn't get any development at all. But that kind of worked because all the other characters throughout the Acceleracers series were going through their character arcs and developments, and our focus was already on them, and focusing on Shirako would just take up too much time. Now, are we going to be doing the same thing with Vinyl? Are we going to be seeing more of her character arc? Or is she just going to be off to the back and sort of being a 10-second plot device just to justify her existence? I don't know. It seems like in the last film, no character really went through any sort of real character development. And they all just sort of became the background character, and so we're just all focusing on background characters. Or characters who didn't add anything to the plot. So will Vinyl just be contributing to that even more, but just be a more prominent example of it? I don't know. I guess in this case, I kind of hope that the characters in this movie will be portrayed as much deeper, and Vinyl won't need to be any deeper. And then we have the matter of the Diamond Dogs, and this gets me very irked. So, the Diamond Dogs are humanized in the humanverse, and yet for some reason, Spike, a dragon, becomes a dog. So, dogs and ponies become humans in the humanverse. But dragons become dogs in the humanverse. Alright, I already had a very hard time trying to figure out how transforming into a different species, period, when you go into an alternate dimension makes any kind of sense. But then I was able to reason that perhaps the mirror was just enchanted, and that was enchanted to do that, and that was never explained. Pity, though, because I would really like an explanation for that. But that raises the question of why would the mirror be enchanted so that, like twice, so that a different species gets turned into something else. Different from what the pony gets turned into. But it's even more confusing here because apparently the mirror is enchanted just so that dragons turn into dogs and everyone else becomes human. Which raises the question, what if a human goes through the portal? Will they come out as a horse? I really don't know. I really don't know. And it doesn't seem like we'll be getting any sort of explanation for that. And to make matters worse, the Diamond Dogs, in their one appearance in the show, period, were villains. They only sort of gave up their villainistic attitude when Rarity basically outsmarted them and just sort of wind them down, I guess you could say. And here it seems like she may have done the same thing, but this possibly just 5 minutes of their screen time, and suddenly before the movie's even halfway over, their characters have been diminished to mere side jokes. This is exactly what they did with Trixie, and well, I've already stated how Trixie could be more of a villain in both Equestria and the Humanverse this time around. Yeah, I think just trading in Trixie for the Diamond Dogs is not a very good move. You might as well do the same thing with Garble. Of course, it wouldn't make it any less confusing. I don't know. This movie just seems to be taking a lot of directions that I don't like, as opposed to the season finale that comes before it. Not to mention, this also raises another interesting comparison. Snips and Snails were villains in the last film, despite the fact that they're not villains in the show. And yet the Diamond Dogs here appear to be non-villains, and yet they were villains in the show. So, evil is reversed? But all the good guys I saw in the Humanverse were just stupid. Just flat out stupid. They didn't look evil. Basically the only evil one was Snips, Snails, and Shimmer, and technically they weren't even that bad, but they were still villainous. I don't get it. You know what? I'm moving on from this. I'm starting to get a headache. Logic? What's that? Okay, so will Zecora be in this finale? Oh wait, I mean in the movie. Sorry. Will Zecora be in the movie? I don't know. If she is, I hope to make her a teacher, not a student, because otherwise that'd be very weird. And will Flash be in the movie? Well, I'm just gonna wrap that debate up by saying, does it even matter? He added nothing to the movie. He added nothing to the series. As a whole, he adds nothing. Whether he's there or not, I don't care. I don't care if he's got a guitar and the theme is rock bands. He did sort of a musical bit in the last movie that added nothing either. I don't think he'll add anything here, and that's that. No Flash Sentry. I don't care. Also, one last question. Given how MLP EG essentially seemed to sort of cut through Season 3, causing it to only be half as long as the other two seasons, does that mean that Season 5 will be reduced to only 13 episodes? I really hope not, although it's kind of looking that way given how Rainbow Rocks will be released in the fall instead of the summer like the last film. Then again, I could be just being paranoid, but still, when the fall rolls around, I want to see ponies. I don't just want to see teen girls on a rock band. I want to see ponies. I got into this franchise because of the ponies. That's what I want to see. That's what I've been investing my time in. That's what I've come to see. Okay. I'm done. Those are my thoughts. My head is throbbing. My throat is dry. I've talked for way too long. Okay. So those are my thoughts. Do you have any theories that I haven't thought of? Please let me know in the comments section below. And feel free to make your own theory videos about the Season 4 finale. Until then, this is a very winded Torrid Prime 217 signing out and reminding you to please brony responsibly.